Today I want to ask you one question. Just how accessible is your church? Did you know that there are a billion people in the world with what could be considered a disability? That's 15% of the global population has what could be considered a disability. And yet, only 5 to 10% of that people group is actually reached with the gospel. This is the most unreached people group of the gospel in the world. The church has neglected those who are blind or deaf or handicapped or any other type of disability. So today I want to ask you something. Is your church accessible for them? If a person in a wheelchair showed up at your church tomorrow, would they even be able to get into the chapel? If a person who was deaf showed up at your church tomorrow, would they be able to hear the sermon? Well, read the sermon with their sign language. If a person who was blind showed up at your church tomorrow, would they be able to find any of the different rooms? Are there braille signs on the doors? If not, this is something you need to fix. It's not up to people with the disabilities, or impairments as I like to call them, since, as you know, I myself am blind and don't like to be called disabled. But it's not up to the people with the impairments to make the changes. It's up to the church to make those changes to bring those people in. And yes, they're going to be a little difficult at times. They require a lot of adjustment. But that's what we need to do if we want to reach our blind brothers and sisters, our deaf brothers and sisters, our handicapped brothers and sisters, and any other impairments that I'm not even thinking of. I myself need to educate myself more on the topic. So let me tell you this. You need to take the effort and the initiative and make sure that your church is accessible, because Jesus tells us to share the gospel, to preach the gospel to all nations, make disciples of all the nations, he says in Matthew 28:19. Yet we've neglected a very large, significant portion of the population. That is something that needs to change. So today I'm encouraging you, make the changes at your church. And if your church can't make the changes, then it's time for the pastor and the leaders to consider buying a different building, having church somewhere else. And for some people, that's not something they want to hear, because some people enjoy their church building. But let me tell you this, if the idea of adapting your building to reach more people with the gospel is offensive to you, and you're offended that it would change something that's been the same way for 100 years, then you need to look more into the gospel. You need to realize the love of Jesus Christ, because Jesus wants these people. He doesn't care about your building. He doesn't care about, it's been the same since the 1800s. That doesn't matter if people who are blind or deaf or handicapped or any other number of impairments aren't able to be reached with the gospel. I'm encouraging you today that we as the church need to make a change to reach these people. Subscribe for more gospel messages.